guys, it is Carl Brown from guitarlessons365.com. Have a monster lesson for you today. I seem to have a lot of these. We are going to learn how to play Backcountry by Avenged Sevenfold. So the whole thing. So we are in for a treat here, aren't we? We are in drop D tuning. So take your low E string, tune it down a whole step to D, and you will be good to go. And I'm going to jump right into this, but please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Ring that little notification bell if you haven't. And also check out my Guitar Academy where all my guitar courses are at. I have a great community. Thousands of guitar players have signed up for it. And it's a really cool community, and I hope you join it. All right, so at least go check it out at guitarlessons365.com. So let's jump into this. Now we have this intro, which kind of starts with this, a little lo-fi radio effect, but it's really the same riff that's being played underneath that. And that riff is this. All right, so that starts with a D power chord off the 5th fret of the A string. Think about that. With the open D under it. So with this. Over to the 6th fret power chord. So it's just a 1-finger power chord off the low, so obviously it's a low D string. I'll probably call it low E a lot. So just like that. And then 3 hits on the open D power chord. And then we have this. So that is just 5, it's just the power chord here off the low D string. So we have this 5, 3, 5, 6, 5, 3, 0. So all right, this next section, I don't know, I could call it like a turnaround riff. It's really kind of like a pre-verse section. They do a few times, pre-verse part. So it sounds like this. So that starts with that same D power chord. And then that power chord off the 6th fret of the low D. Then 5, then 3. Repeat that. All right, so it's pretty simple. And then we get into the actual verse of the song, which looks like this. All right, so that is just the 5th fret here on the A string. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. So that's, obviously palm muted down here. Over to the 6th fret on that low D string. And that same down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. So we have this. And then do the same rhythm just on the low E open. Sorry, low D. All right, so you did it twice as long there. So that's the riff. All right, so then we get to the pre-chorus, which is kind of the same type of riff. It starts the same way. It looks like this, though. It's a little bit extended. And that takes us into the chorus. So you're always going to do this right going into the chorus. So that is kind of coming out of that verse. Starts the same as the verse, that 5, 6. Then just take this 6 and move it down to the 5th fret there on that low D string. And then the 4th fret on the A. And then up to 5, 7. So we have this so far. Now we're going to end it with 3 on the low D string, 2, and then that takes us into the chorus. Let me play through it real quick again. So everything's really heavily palm muted there, and then you let that up for the chorus, which looks like this. All right, so let's start with that same power chord there that we did open the song with. So look at down, 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 up. And there's some muted strums there after that. And then you gotta shift back and you gotta play. So the 5th fret power chord a couple times. And then down to the 3. So and then there's a quick little. Now, they don't really do this live, but you can hear it on the recording. There's a quick little. What is just the low D power chord open, and then the 3rd fret power chord, leading into that 3rd fret power chord off the A string. So you can choose to do that. I don't really see them doing it live too much, but it is on a recording. So we have this. So I'm going to go into that C chord. And then back to the 3rd fret here on the low E, low D. And then back to that C power chord at the 3rd fret of the A. So it is. I'm sorry. And then we do this. Open A string, then 2, 3 on the D. Repeat. Then we'll go back to the same verse, pre-chorus, and chorus. So nothing really new to learn there. And we get to this little clean bridge section, which it basically has an acoustic guitar strumming chords, and then there's an electric guitar kind of arpeggiating the chords over it. So let me show you what the strummed chords under it are first, and then we'll take a look at the arpeggiated part. So the chords are this. So it's going to repeat that actually. So it's just a D minor chord. And then it's a G major chord, but just you don't hit the low E string. So it's just with the low D string, with the B in the bass there. So it's inverse inversion. So we have just from the 5th string across to a C major chord. So far I have this. We go to an E7 chord, and once again, you know, we have a B in the bass, so it's gonna be 2nd fret on the A string there, open D, 1st fret on the G, open B, open high E. So that's the 4th chord. So we have D minor. All right, from there we go to an A minor chord. Back to that G with the B in the bass. And then we're gonna end it with this F sus2. So obviously we can't play it on this bottom string here because, you know, it will be, if we played our F in the normal spot, it sound like you could go like this. That's uncomfortable though. So it's just the 3rd fret on the A and the D, open G. So that makes it a sus2 chord. And then I'm gonna borrow the first fret on the B and the high E. Full sounding chord. So all together, G minor, G with B in the bass, C, E7, A minor, G with the B in the bass, and that F sus2. All right, so over that we actually have the part you're going to hear the most in the recording is the little arpeggiated section part over this. So that sounds like this. So obviously this section is repeated twice, but I'll just play through it once for you there. So it's going to start with that same D minor chord, and you're just going to pick from the first, the high E, to the B, G, and then back through those, but you're going to kind of time it differently. You're going to hold the high E string note a little bit more. So wait, I mean, you're going to let all these ring. It's just the timing is like, you let that ring for a full eighth note before you pick the other two notes. So this. All right. And then we have this. So this is probably the trickiest part to get down. So we have this hammer on, 0 to 2 on the G string, open B, and there's the an eighth note again on the third fret of the high E string. So you're going to basically let that note ring twice as long as the other notes before you play another note. So we have this. And then the open B. And then we're going to work our way up to the C chord by going 0, 2 on the A string. That's going to take us to the C in a second. So we have this. All right, so all together. All right, so when you get now, you're letting these all ring out, you get to a C major chord, and it's going to be a C major, but they're adding that the 9 in there. So it's really a C add 9. So we have this. So it's just a C major chord, but now put your pinky at the third fret on the B string. All right. So what you're going to do now is pick across from the fifth string all the way to the high E, back down, and when you get to the G, you stop. So. All right. Then we're going to play that E7 chord that we did earlier, but we're going to do it a little bit different. We're going to have that third fret there again on the B string. So it's still an E7 chord, but played a little bit differently than we were strumming it. So this is going to be like this. So we basically picked from the fifth string across the notes until we get to that B string, that third fret on the B string. And that's where you hold that note twice as long, and then high E back to the B. So from the C chord, all right, now we're going to jump over here, and so that's going to be the open A string, second fret on the D, fifth fret on the G. Nice way to play an A minor chord, and then we can put this open B in there. So that B is what's going to be ringing out a little bit longer, making an A minor add 9. So we had this back down to G and the D string. Now we're going to do the exact same thing, except what we're going to do is we're going to reach over to the fifth fret on that low D string, and that's going to be our root note, our bass note this time. So everything else is the same. So you don't pick the A string, you pick the low D. And then we're going to end it by playing that F sus2 chord that we did before, and we're going to pick from the fifth string up to the B string, and that pause happens on the B. and then back down, G, D, A, and then strum the chord. Let's play this. All right, so all together. And then you just repeat that, and you are good to go for the first bridge section. There's another one later on. All right, so then it goes back to that kind of pre-verse riff. Except this time you're actually playing it twice as long. So you play it 4 times through. And then we get to the solo of the song, played by Synyster Gates. But I'm going to show you what's going to be going on. So my Zacky Vengeance would play live, the little part under it. You know what? I need a nickname. Really. Carl Brown is not cutting. It's boring, right? So I need a name like that. Maybe you guys can help me out. I'll rebrand the whole channel with my nickname. I need something more rock and roll. All right, so let's start here. Now, I'll show you the rhythm part first under it. So we have this. All right, and that stops right there when the harmony guitar part. There's a little 2 harmony guitars playing, and then it goes into the full harmony section. All right, so it's basically starts with that. Since we're coming out of that riff, it kind of starts with that. Except instead of going down to the 3 here, just the open power chord real quick, the open D, and kill it, and then start again. And then he stops, and that's where that bar dive and that Synyster's doing with the bar dive. So you don't need to do that. So it's just the second time through, you just stop, and then we go basically to a variation of the verse riff, which looks like this. So it just has that little tail on it. So that same 5, 6, and the open, but. So that's 0, 3, 5, 6. So after you get to the 6, then you hit it 3 more times after that. So I believe you do that like 4 times, and then we basically end that this solo section rhythm with the pre-chorus riff. All right, so we have made it to the solo section. So I'm going to show you Synyster Gates solo leading up and stopping right at the harmony section there. There's a little overdub when they do the harmony section, so I'm going to stop in there. All right, so here's the solo. All right, so some fun stuff in that one. Some cool tapping, little tap bend and release stuff, and all sorts of cool stuff. So, all right, we're going to start here with the unison bend. So that's going to be the 15th fret there on the B and the 17th on the G. So you play play those two and then bend up the 17 on the G. And then down to the 9th fret, do the same thing. And the 8. Play this. All right, and then we have this little lick. Now, I will say, as he's playing this little bend, there's another overdub with this thing. With that, so you'll hear that going on too over it, but live, he can't do that. So he just does this and just kind of holds that bend. So now the lick itself, Synyster Gates is really good economy picker. So he'll do some alternate picking too. But you'll see a lot of these licks that he'll do like this, and he economy picks it, which makes it quite a bit easier to play once you get used to doing it. So now the lick itself is going to be on the D string, starting the 12th fret on the D, and then play 10, 12, 13 on the G, and then 10, 13, 15 on the B string, then a step and a half bend at the 15th fret, and then you bring it back down. So now that's... All right, so how is he picking that? So he's going to start with a downstroke into another, so downstroke on the D into another downstroke on the G string. So that makes it economy picking. Just kind of one stroke takes care of two notes. Kind of separated in the left hand though. And then we have the upstroke on the 12th fret there. And then you're to the 13th fret on the G with a downstroke, which is going to once again go down, down across those two strings. And then up, then down on the top note. All right? All right, so when you get good at that kind of thing, it's almost like a reflex. It takes a lot less effort than picking every single note like that. All right, so then we have a bar dive. All right, so that's just a bar dive, low D string, pick it, dive the bar down, bring it back up, throw your guitar out of tune, and then go into some bends, the 5th fret on the G string. Slide up to the the 8th fret, while doing a whole step bend with a lot of vibrato. So, and then do the back down to the 5th fret. And this time, do the same thing, but jump up to do it at the 11th fret. And then back to the 5. And then the same thing again, but at the 15th. So it is. All right, and then we have this little lick. All right, so he actually does it with his pinky. So that is going to be a bend at the 13th fret, at the 13th fret on the B string. Release, pull off to 10 on the B. Then you come over to the G string, play 13, pull off to 10, and kind of just hammer onto that 13. Pull off to 10, back to 13, and then you tap the 19th fret on that G string. So you do that, and so I like to do it with my ring finger. So when you do that, hammer back onto 13, you do that tap, whole step bend, bring it back down, and add vibrato to it. Again, I'll do that back here while you're holding this note at the 19th fret. And then you basically pull off the tap finger back to that 13, pull off to 10, back to 13, and then this time you're going to tap the 22nd fret, and then you're going to bend that up a whole step without that noise on there. All right, so it is not the easiest thing in the world. you can tap with your index finger, but the next lick comes so quickly that it's probably better to try to tap with your middle finger, because we have this lick after it. All right, so that's a quick bend at the 17th fret, kind of a really staccato feel. At the 17th fret on the high E string, and then play 16, 15, 17, 16, 15. And then over to 18 on the B, back to the 15 on the high E, and then 2 bends at the 18th fret on the B string. All right, and now we have this. All right, so that's going 18, 17, 13 on the high E. And then you're going to kind of tremolo pick 13 and 17 on the G into a step and a half bend at the 15th fret on the B string. Show you this. So then you're going to go back to the 13 real quick on the G string, and then slide 15 to 21 on the B. So. All right, and then we have a really cool lick, looks like this. All right, so that's going to be the 10th fret on the high E string. It's like a series of 4-note patterns. So we have the top note once, which is the 10th fret on the high E string, then 3 times on the 10th fret on the G string. Then we're going to kind of continue that same pattern with the 10th fret on the high E, 13th fret on the high E, 10th fret on the B. So you're going to pick that top note once, and then 3 times on the B string there. Just like this. Then take this and move it down just 1 fret, so it's 12 and 9. It's good to kind of slightly palm mute that a little, makes the notes pop out a little bit and easier to control the string. Then up to the 15th fret on the high E and 14 on the B, same pattern. So 1's on the top, 3. Then you're up here at the 17th fret on the high E string. Go 17, 18, 17, 16 to repeat that. And then you play 17 a few times and down to 12. So it is. So you kind of tremolo picking that note for a minute. Slide that down. All right, next section, just really to close out the solo, looks like this. All right, so this is a series of patterns too. So it's not that it's fast, but there's a pattern to it, so it's not as difficult as you might think. It's really grouped in 3. So we have 10, 11, 12 on the high E, followed by 13, 12, 11. So down, up, down, up, down. So you get 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 is how it's filled. So it's just straight chromatic. Then take that exact same lick and play it at the 2 frets higher. And then same pattern, except a little bit different notes. We're going to have a little bit of a whole step spread in here. It's 13 on the high E to 15, 16, 17. So do that same with those notes instead of being straight chromatic. Play this. All right, and then we're going to end it like this. So that's a. So 17, 18, 21, 18, 17 on the high E. Over to 18 there on the B string. And then we're going to just go straight up. 17, 18, 20 on the B and the high E. into a bend there. And that bend rings out over the beginning of the harmony guitar section. So that last lick one more time. All right, so before we do the solo guitar parts, the lead guitar parts to the harmony section, let's take a look at the rhythm underneath it. All right, so it sounds like this. All right, so this, at the end of that rhythm part, there's like 4 guitars playing a harmony line really low. So, you know, unless you have 3 guitar players, you're not even playing this one part. So I'm not really going to tackle that really low harmony part in the rhythm guitar section. We're going to do both of the harmony guitar sections like they play it live. And obviously this rhythm isn't there at that point. But if you have a 3rd guitar player, they can just play this. And it's basically the notes that are the most prominent within that little harmony section. All right, so the rhythm to it at least. So it starts out with this down up on the low E, a low D into the D power chord. And then the same pattern there with the 5th fret power chord. Then off the C power chord of the A string, 3rd fret. Then the open A power chord. And then you're going to hold that there and just add the 4th fret there on the A string and do that as the bass note. So basically moved it to 1st inversion. So we have this. Repeat. And then we get to this right here, we get to this section where I was talking about. So there's a lot of guitars doing different stuff there. If I was going to play it just as a solo guitarist, one guitar, I'd play it like this. So open D power chord a couple times. And then just do the single notes. 7, 5, 3, 2. Some vibrato. Then 8, 7, 5. Play this. And then back to that 7, 5, 3, 2. And then 5, 4 on the A string. And 8, 7. All right, so back to the verse riff after that. So, all right, so let's take a look at the harmony guitar part. Now, live, Synyster plays the lower harmony part. So I'll show you his first. Looks like this. All right, more fun stuff. So we have this arpeggio that starts it. You would think that it would usually be, you would sweep pick it, even though it's kind of slow to be a sweep pick. But what they do is they actually alternate pick across strings doing this, both Synyster and Zacky in his part too, which makes it much more difficult to play, to alternate pick across the strings like that, but it helps separate the notes like you wouldn't get with like a slow sweep. So they alternate pick it. Up to the neck pickup here, there, I had this. So 13 on the high E, 15 on the B, 14 on the G, and so we have the 14 there on the G. Then 15, 12 on the D string, back up to 15. So we have this. Then back up to 14 on the G. So we have, and then back to that 15 on the B. So kind of repeat those same notes twice. All right, now over to the 12th fret on the high E, 13 on the G, 12 on the B, and back to that 13 on the G. Pick that 13 one more time, and then 14 on the D, 13 on the G, 12 on the B. Repeat. All together. And end it with a slide, that little arpeggio section though, at the 15th fret on the B, and then we go into the main harmony melody, which sounds like this. So that's at the 10th fret there on the B string, over to 10 on the high E, then 12, 13, slide to 17, then play 15, and then go down to 13, 15, 13, slide to 10, and then play 12. So with this. I will say, you'll hear them live now, a little trill there. But on the recording, it's, so you can choose to do it if you want. So wait. Then go 8, 10, 8. Then up to 15, 13. So wait this. Then go 9, 10, 12, up to 13. And slide down to 10. So all together. Repeat the same thing. And then the second time through, you kind of extend the ending. We had that 13 slide down to 10, but then 15 slide down to 12, and then this little part that ends it. Very dramatic. All right, so we have this 13, 15, 13, 12. So that little 4-note lick, you're going to play it 4 times. And basically, then you're going to start over like you're doing it again. You're going to have that the 5th time. So we have this 13, 15, 13, 12, over to 15 on the B, back to that 12 on the high E string, back to the B string, 15th fret, and 14. So we basically did this 5 times, and then ended it with this, done once. And then you're going to end the whole thing with that, which is 18, 15 on the high E string, 17, 14 on the B, over to 15 on the G, and back to 14, 17, 14 on the B, and resolve it to the 15th fret there on the B string. All right, so that's the end of Synyster Gates harmony section. Now, the high harmony part, played by Zacky Vengeance, looks like this. Now, I will say it's a little bit different that they do live here. I'm going to do what they did live. But the first opening notes, when we started getting into the main harmony lines, when Zacky plays this exact same note, but then jumps into high harmony. So those first notes are just in unison, just in different positions, all right? But here is Zacky's full part. All right, so that opening line. So we have this 17, 13. Once again, all alternate pick. 17, 13 on the high E. Over to 15 on the B, 14 on the G, 15 on the D, then go back up, 14 on the G, 15 on the B, 13 on the high E. So we have this. Repeat that. All right, from there we have this, which is 16-12 on the high E, 15-12 on the B, and then we have that 14 on the D, 13 on the G, 12 on the B, to 15 on the B. So all together. And then after that last note, slide that into the 18th fret to go into that main harmony section, which is the 14th fret there on the G, 15 on the B, 17, then 18, and then we're going to do this. Slide into 20, 18, then play 17, 18, 17, slide down to 13, up to 15. So here it is. All right, then 12, 13, 12. Slide up to 18, then 17. And then we have this, which is 12, 13, 15, 17, slide down to 13. So that's kind of the whole thing. So you repeat this. So once again, there's an extended ending to this one. So it starts the same, slide 17 to 13, and then 18 to 15. And just like we had Synyster doing on this, Zacky's going to match him up here. So that's that same lick that we did earlier, actually. 17, 18, 17, 16, done 5 times. And then you're going to put this on, which is 18 on the B, 16 on the high E, and then 18, 17 on the B. So it's just that same pattern we did down here, but here. So, and then where Synyster did this, we have Zacky doing this. which is 21, 17 on the high E, then 20, 17 on the B, down to 18 on the G string, 17, 20, back to 17. So wait, this. And then you can resolve it, end it there with the 18th fret on the B string. All right, so we have got through that. Now we get to, from there, we go back to this, the verse saying, but over that, we do have, once again, some fills, are pretty much the last ones we have in the song. Looks like this. All right, so that is going to be those unison bends again. So that's at the 10th fret first, so 10, 11, 12, 13, and then up to 15. Then 9, 3. And there's a harmony part here, but we're getting a little crazy with the harmony part, so I'll just stick with Synyster's part here. Sorry, I messed that up there. So after this unison bend at the 3rd fret, we're going to go 9, 10, 13 on the G. Then 10, 11, 13 on the B. And then go 10, 12, kind of half step bend release at the 12. Then the same thing at the 9. And then over to the 9 on the B. And then you're going to do a hammer 6, 8, 9 on the B into a slide bend back down to 6. So we have all right, and then we have, and it was some more unison bends off the B string, the 3rd fret again, then 9, back to 3, and 15. All right, from there we actually, we're at the 3-minute and 31-second mark, and we make it to our second bridge. So it looks like this. Back to the chorus there. So we have just the open D power chord. 0, 2, 3. Get that chord strumming a little bit. Over to the C power chord off the A. Then the 5th fret power chord off the low D. And then hit that open D power chord again. So it's then you get kind of da 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 boom boom, just kind of a low E mute, low D mute, and then back to the 2, 3 power chord. Different the second time around now. Back to that C power chord, but then take that down to B flat power chord. So just move down 2 frets. Hold that a little bit longer. Then the A power chord. And then that same move we've been doing to make it a first inversion A major. Same chord, just play this 4th fret on the A string. So the whole bridge number 2 from the 3-minute and 31-second mark. Now we're back to the chorus a couple times. All right, so you do that, the chorus a couple of times, and then it goes back into that clean bridge, that little clean section we did. Now it feels like about 4 hours ago we did that. So that is the exact same thing until we have a couple of harmony lines that happen over it. So once again here, I'm just going to show you pretty much one of the harmony lines because you're still going to need a guitar player playing the lower stuff too. So I'm going to show you what Synyster Gates plays there over that section that ends the song. All right, so this is basically still over that clean section that we did, but it's just kind of a little extra distorted, arpeggiated part. So it sounds like this. All right, so this is all kind of heavily palm muted. We're going to start here, 7th fret on the D, to the 8 on the A, then back to 7 on the D, roll over to the 7 on the G, at least he does, then 6 on the B. So we have this. And then 7 on the G, 7 on the D, back to that 7 on the G. So kind of learn it in like little 8-note parts because that's kind of how it's put together. So we have this. All right, the next section. All right, so that's the second group of 8 notes. So that is 4 on the G, 5 on the D, then 4, 7 on the G, over to 6 on the B string, then 7, 4 on the G, over to 7 on the D. So far we have this. All right, next 8 notes. So that's 5, 7, 5 on the D, 7 on the A, back to 5 on the D, 7 on the G, over to 5 on the B string, 7, 4 on the G, to 5 on the D. So with this. One more time. And then we're going to do this little kind of ascending lick. So that's going to be 5, 3 on the D, and then 7, 6 on the D, and then 9, 6, and then 7, 9. So it's all the D string. All right, now we're going to move up to the 7th position. We're going to have this played twice. So it's 10 on the D, 7 on the 10, 7 on the D, 7 on the A, to 10 on the low D string. So you do that twice, then jump back down to the 2nd fret, and we're going to play this for the next 4 notes. Actually in that too. So we have this 2, 5 on the A, to 4 on the D, back to 5 on the A. Play like that if you want without a roll. And then play 4 on the G, 5 on the D, and then play 4, 5 on the G. And then slide into the 7th fret there on the D. Obviously there's a harmony part going with it too. So we have this little so that's the first, for the first ending when you're playing this note, then we have this. So you get quick little down, up, down on that 7, and it slides it down to 5, pick it, slide down to 3, pick, slide down to 2, pick, slide back up to 5. Then we start over with the exact same thing we did. All right, so the same exact thing, except at the very ending part, we basically end with that slide, and that's it. Now, I will say that there's a big harmony part there. It'll probably sound better to do that. Both of these notes there at the very end. Part of the other guitar parts, because it's pretty prominent there at the end. So that's 8, slide into 8 on the A, and 7 on the D to end it there. All right, so that was one of our, very in-depth, epic takedowns of a very involved song. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Very challenging, but got a lot of really cool parts to play for both guitar players. You don't have some guy just kind of hanging back and playing easy rhythm parts. You're both going to have to get your work cut out for you on this one. All right, hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you again soon for GuitarLessons365.com.